All right. Am I here? I think I am. This is just like the old days. Just like the old days, man. So, in the beginning, Ted, I used to do this, and you can see some of the old stuff. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I have had the weirdest morning for wow, it's about 40 minutes already. I've had the weirdest error messages, so I can't I haven't been able to get on in a normal way, which I guess I'm going to have to really investigate after this. This is my guest, Ted Howe. Who is Ted Howe has been very patient. Thanks, Ted.
Oh, I'm a man of much patience.
Oh gosh. Well, we are on here. I did post about Ted, and I wanted to play some music. I don't know how to share the screen in Facebook Live, so I don't know if I can. I guess we could listen a little bit. Let's try and listen a little. Um, Roland, you can tell me if you hear this fine. right, I'm going to stop this because this goes on for about 14 minutes. So, hi.
You don't need much more of that.
No, probably not. Okay, we have a lot of blank space above your head.
Oh, can't help that.
Just tip your phone down a little.
Oh, this is the phone. That's right. I'm trying to see which side is myself here. Oh, I see. On your screen you're talking about.
Well, on my iPad, your head is in the bottom half. So you just tip it down the phone. Nope, that's the wrong way.
It's the wrong way?
Yeah. There you go.
That better?
Yeah, do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see this is you in this little corner here. Yeah, there you go. That's cool. Yeah. Thank you. Boy, all kinds of problems today. I'm going to have to really look at this. I hope I can figure this out today. Man.
Consultating. Consulting.
Gosh.
See what'll happen. This will all be over. And then you'll go put the computer on. It'll all be working fine.
Maybe. I hope that might be able to happen, you know. I'm taking a look. So Ted is from my hometown. Or I'm from Ted's hometown, whatever, Boston. I forgot that.
Yeah, Boston, Mass, correct.
Yeah, I forgot that actually. What part of Boston are you from?
What part?
Yeah.
It was called Hyde Park.
Hyde Park, yeah. So was that near downtown itself?
About 10, 15 minutes away. Yeah, it's south of the city.
Okay, yeah.
Just south,
Yeah.
15 minutes side. Yeah.
Yeah, I was from Newton.
Yeah, Newton, yeah. Then my family moved to Needham. It's right
Oh.
next door to, yeah.
Right, literally
I
right
went
next
to
door.
went to high school in Needham.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. We actually lived very close, actually. Probably within 10 or 15 minutes from each other.
Yeah, but many years apart.
I don't know how, I don't think you're that old.
Oh, really? Thank you. That's nice. What year did you graduate high school?
71.
Yeah, I graduated 58.
Oh my gosh.
So we didn't bump into each other. We were too young.
Yeah. I was just talking to John Hammond, the piano player, and he's 80 now. And I was thinking, man, I'm not that far away in age. I'm only like 12 years or something away. That's about your age, right?
Yeah, I'll be 81 on Thursday.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, happy birthday.
Thank you. That's inauguration day.
Huh. What do you know? That's cool. Wow. So
I'm really either very sad or very happy on inauguration day every 4 years.
I don't know what I am. I don't know what I am this year. I mean, I'm happier than I would have been, but I don't know.
So that music you played was, I think it's about 4 years old. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Before 5
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah.
That's my trio in Atlanta before I moved here.
Okay.
And I've been playing with those two guys, Neil Starkey, the bass player, and Jerry Fields is the drummer. And we've been playing together over 40 years.
Okay.
And that particular concert, I don't think the whole concert's on YouTube. We didn't play any tunes. The only thing we did that was a form really that everybody knows is that was a blues that you just heard.
Yeah.
And a pretty fractional blues, but it was a blues. Everything else we made up on the spot. We just made up stuff for the rest of the concert.
Oh, God, that's fun.
Yeah, no tunes. We made up a ballad, made up a couple bossa novas, made up a kind of a free thing. We just played and just went where we felt like going.
See, I love that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do that.
Yeah.
Got to be with the right guys. Guys you're used to playing with really helps because you kind of read each other much better when you're playing with each other that long, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
we played weddings, bar mitzvahs, you know, you name it, we did it, plus jazz gigs, but tons of, you know, what they call it out here, they call it casuals, I think, am I right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. We call that GB, general business.
Yeah, that's what my dad called it.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, he was from Boston, right?
Yeah, he was a
Right.
band
He was
leader.
the band leader, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
GB, that's what I knew.
GB, yeah.
And then in New York, they call it is it a club date? No, it's
Club
a,
date, yeah.
is that what it
Yeah,
is? Yeah.
that's what they call them, still in Atlanta, club dates.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how that ever happened. What's it got to do with a club?
I
Oh, what
know.
club are you working at? No, we're not working at a club. We're doing a wedding at the church. Oh, why you call it a club date? You know.
Yeah, interesting. So, I'm kind of perusing the bio that I got, but so you went to Berkeley, so did I, but as you said later. But boy, when you went to Berkeley, it was small, right?
Yeah, it was in the original building at 1284, 284 Newberry Street.
I loved that building. That
Yeah,
was a really comfortable, nice building, wasn't it?
yeah. It had. I think it used to be a brownstone apartment building. I think it had 4 stories, four or
Yeah,
five stories. I remember.
yeah,
And Berkeley came. Not Berkeley came in. Larry Burke and
yeah.
a gentleman named Harry Smith came in, and uh, Burke was an architect. And the story is
Oh,
he was responsible for turning all the bedrooms and bathrooms and kitchens into classrooms and practice rooms and ensemble rooms and all that kind of stuff. And that's how the school started.
oh, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, yeah. And when I was there, I was actually taking less private lessons there when I was in high school.
Oh,
I used to go in on Wednesdays and take my piano lesson, and on Saturday I'd go in again and do an arranging composition lesson
ah,
with Harry Smith, who was one of the founders of the school.
oh,
So I'd take the subway in and do that, and there were maybe, I'm guessing, less than 100 students in the school at that time. But it was a 2-year school. It was just you didn't get a degree, you got a certificate.
hmm.
And I remember he used to let me go down and listen to the big band ensembles after my piano lesson, which was a kick for me. I was like 14, 15 years old then. And I remember the names, but they had like Quincy Jones was just a kid. He was playing four
Oh my
trumpet.
God.
And then our Rick Mardine was in the sax section. Bob James,
Wow.
yeah. And they all
Wow.
become, you know, very, very prominent figures in the world of jazz.
Yeah.
Not then, you know. And then I only went there one semester after I graduated from high school.
Yeah.
My parents moved to Florida, so I didn't continue my education at Berkeley. But I came back in the early '60s after I got out of the Army, and within 2 years I got a gig teaching there. So I finished up my education by being a teacher, and they would ask me, "You want to teach second semester arranging?" And I said, "I don't know anything about second semester arranging." So they would stick me with the head of the arranging department, and I'd study with him on lunch breaks and after school, after hours, and take all the exams and do a lot of class monitoring. And then they'd say, "Okay, you're ready. And you got third semester. You want to do fourth?" That's how I got a free education.
Oh my
every
God.
every 8 or 10 months or so, I just gulped up another class. You know.
Wow.
So
That's
there's so many.
really interesting. And I mean, it's cool because that's the way a lot of it times it was done, right? You just you learn on the fly, right?
Yeah, this wasn't really on the fly though. They were really very very strict about what they did with me. They wouldn't let me get up in front of the class unless I passed all the exams, whatever the classes were, you know,
Yeah.
that the student would have to do. And they would monitor my classes sometime and watch me speak and make sure I was, you know, dispensing the information properly.
Yeah.
So it's on the fly is almost right, but it's like, then, you know, 5 or 6 years later, I was teaching, you know, seventh, eighth semester, you know, when they turned into a college for most of the subjects, you know,
Wow.
theory and arranging, ensembles. Uh, I didn't, ironically, I did very little piano teaching at Berkeley.
Huh.
Very little. You know, they liked my style, I guess, in the classroom. And I think I kept 2 or 3 around through my whole tenure there. But I was there about 6, 7 years. And
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and yeah, a lot of my friends here, like Joe LaBarbera, Abe Laborio, they were all in my classes. they,
Wow.
they were like 3, 4, 5 years younger than me. Ernie Watts, you remember Ernie before he left? He was in all my
Yeah.
classes.
You
Gary
know,
Anderson,
by the
and
way, I just before I forget, Ernie Watts is going to be playing at that place that we were talking about, the house venue, with John Mayer in March, March 20th.
oh really?
Yeah, I'll remind me to remind you because you'd
Yeah,
probably like to come.
if the COVID thing is where it needs to be.
Yes. Um, so, um, so wait a minute. What years were you teaching there?
I started there in '63.
Okay, so you just went to like the late 60s, right?
Yeah, like I moved to Atlanta in '71 from
Okay.
Atlanta, from Boston,
Yeah.
and then here I've been here 16 years now.
Wow. Long time. Isn't that
Yeah,
interesting? It's just like other lifetimes, isn't it?
yeah, I know. Don't talk about that.
um, let's see. Okay, and then you actually you went then you went into the army after you were teaching.
No, no, the army was before all that.
Oh, okay.
Army. I went 2 years. I was in the Third Army Band stationed in Atlanta,
Oh.
and that was where I got most of my experience.
Oh.
You know, I was the part of the piano player's duties were to arrange and conduct a big band, then a dance band, and I had to play for the choir, and I had to write pieces for the concert band. It was like a headquarters band, not like your typical Army post band that you see marching around. It's like right under the Army band in Washington. And the Third Army was 6 or 7 states in the southeast part of the country. It was General Patton's army during World War II. So with all that, I had to produce a radio show every week and record it. And they used to pipe it over, to the
Huh.
people in East Europe. So when I got back to Boston, I had all this experience, 2 years almost of just nonstop production and playing and whatever, and I was pretty ready to play around town, which I started doing. And that's how I got to know all the teachers over at Berklee, playing in bands with them. And then when that opening came open, I got it because they recommended me. A lot of the upper
Oh.
level, yeah, they like me. They do. If they gave me something to do, I would do it. If I didn't know the bridge to Bobby and Soul, I knew it the next night.
Yep. That's
So
good. That's cool. Yeah, in that time in Boston, there were some I can't remember. My dad used to talk about the clubs that were there. There were some interesting clubs, right?
yeah, well, there were two very famous supper clubs. If you remember those days before the big
Yeah.
venue. Yeah,
Right.
one was called Blindstrub's.
Right.
And the other one was the Surf Supper Club. The three, and the third one was the Hi Hat. And the Hi Hat and the Surf are out on Revere Beach. If you remember where Revere Beach is, up by
Yeah, definitely.
Logan Airport.
Yeah.
And that's where I cut my teeth, and that's where I got to know a lot of the teachers at Berklee playing in that house band. I got the gig in the house band about 6 months after I got out of the army. I became a sub for the piano player who worked there. It was a 7 night a week gig, and people would take time off a lot. And then he left the gig, and the band leader called me up, and I wound up, working in that band where I got even more experience playing all those chubby checker shows and the four lads and the four freshmen and that era. Even played Sammy Davis when he came in. So that's how it was. It was a succession. It was two things before the Berklee thing was the army, and then being in this band, and then that's how I got the gig. Gradually teaching more courses like I described, getting to know all those guys. Like John Laporta, have you heard that name?
Absolutely. The John Laporta half note or
Yeah,
quarter note or something. I mean, he was there when I was there. He was cool.
yeah. Him and Herb Pomeroy is another
Yep.
one.
Yeah.
These are all my mentors. Phil Wilson, who's still there to this day.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
And Ray Santisi, a pianist who passed away.
Ray
Oh,
Santisi, definitely, definitely.
yeah. So those are what we call the good old days. And it's
Yeah.
fun to talk about them, but it's like it's 2022 now, though. We have to think back at that. God, that was 60 something years ago.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'll tell you something really interesting, really quick. About a week ago, I got an email from a lady, and she asked if I ever studied with a teacher at Berklee named Harry Smith. And Harry Smith was the one I was studying with when I was still in high school. You know, he was one of the founders of the school.
Yeah.
Long story short, I wrote her back, and she is his granddaughter.
Oh.
And she didn't know much about her granddaughter. I mean, her grandfather. So she decided to, so she found me somehow on the internet on my website, saw that I studied with Harry Smith.
Oh, wow.
So we talked for 2 hours. I told her some great stories
Oh.
about him. And she's actually a musician herself. She's a pretty accomplished banjo player. She goes out on tour with Steve Martin a
Wow.
lot, and she has her own website on. She's really a pretty good singer too. But I thought that was really interesting because she knew absolutely nothing about her grandfather's. All she knew was a great piano player. But no, the family had very few details about him. Was he a good teacher? Was he a nice guy? How did he get to do this? And so I hope I helped him fill in some blanks. But that was really interesting. And he passed away while I was in the Army.
Oh.
When I got out of the Army, I wanted to study with him some more, but he passed away about 6 months before I got out. And she was born 13 years before he died, so she really never even spoke to him, But so I hope I helped her out. Harry was he was a incredible piano player, a monster piano player. Could play anything of that era. He'd come out of the vaudeville thing,
Oh, wow.
I used to go watch him play shows in the Pit, at the Schubert Theater, watch him play My Fair Lady, watch him play with the Boston Symphony. Then he could sit in the jazz club and play bebop like you wouldn't believe. He was scary. He really was to this day,
I never heard his name. It's funny. I was listening. I have records that I go through to see if I want them because I've acquired them in various ways. And I was listening to Jimmy Forrest, the guy who wrote Night Train.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
on the back, it was on reprise, and on the back, it was talking about how he was kind of in I forget how the writer put it, but it was kind of like, the great players who weren't that known. They were in there, definitely. They were in the trenches and working,
Uh-huh.
and no, they were known, amongst their peers, but they weren't known, like the big players like Stan Getz or, people like that. And that's what it sounds like Harry Smith was, because I don't really know his name. And he was in Boston too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Your dad probably used him in his band.
Oh,
You know.
wow. Um, uh, I hate to ask you, but can you move your face into your frame?
Let's go in there. I'm trying to figure where I had the camera last time. I'm using my phone.
I know. Can you see can you
It
see
doesn't
out here?
Yeah, but it doesn't do anything in real time. I can't. There. How's that?
So better. It could be even more.
Makes me look 100 years old.
That's
Don't laugh.
that's worse.
That's worse.
Yeah, if you're on your phone, tip your phone down from the top
That's what you just did. How's that?
a little more. That's better. Yeah. Oh,
I'm not moving. This thing is a delay in here.
oh,
See, I'm not moving at all.
oh,
No.
that's weird. Well, now I see the ceiling.
Yeah. See, it's got to stay like this.
Okay, that looks pretty good, man.
How
Yeah,
is it now?
perfect. Okay.
Perfect.
Yep, it's perfect.
I'll have to hold this position.
So, you were super busy in Atlanta, right? I mean, that was like a big part of your career, right? When you were
I
in
was 38 years there. Yeah.
38 years. Yeah, that's a long time.
And I brought up my family, 4 kids.
Wow.
I had to stay busy.
Right.
I
Um,
did a lot of other kinds of work. I mean, music, but
yeah.
jazz wasn't really like a big part of it. You know, it was what you did for fun, what you did when, you know, you needed to get out and do something. And most of the stuff I did was a lot of commercial stuff, a lot of convention work, a lot of arranging for shows, um, you know, weddings, bar mitzvahs, the GB we talked about a little earlier, you
Yeah.
know, and then the occasional jazz gig here and there. I had a big band together for about 20 years, and we played once or twice a month. Wasn't bad. With a 20
Did
piece
you do
band.
the arranging?
Yeah, me and two other guys in the band. Three of us did them, and
What was the band called?
the Ted Howe's Bluegrass Orchestra.
Huh.
So it was really good big band. But we didn't do any tunes of anybody else. It was totally original. That was
Oh.
the yeah. If you wanted to write for the band, just bring in something original. We
Huh.
didn't, we, and we played hardly any swing. Maybe 10% of it was swing. All the other stuff was funky. You know, a lot of odd meter 7/4 tunes, 5/4
Oh.
tunes, things like that. Which was breaking ground really in the 70s.
Definitely. Were
You
you
know,
did you record any of it, or did you like was it
got
on is it on
got one
YouTube
recording.
or
Yeah, I got one recording of it, of a whole concert we did. Uh, Released it, you know, I don't know when it was, mid 70s on cassettes
yeah.
back then.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the box right now across the room. It's in a closet filled with, you know, my music. I could fill up a pickup truck with it. Probably 3 tons of paper right there, you know. But no, we would do that, and we did concerts all over the Southeast. A lot of the college band directors and, you know, heads of music departments, jazz departments around the Southeast heard about the band, and they'd bring me in and bring the whole band in, and we'd do like a week of clinics and things with the students, which was that was the day when those things first began, and that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing that. And then the band, I also had another band that worked that I did all the commercial work with. It was a smaller band. It was 8 horns and 3 rhythm,
Yeah.
and I have about 125 charts. I'm looking at the boxes now again that I wrote over a period of about 10 years. And we did everything from Earth, Wind, and Fire to In the Mood with that band.
Wow.
And that band kept me busy as hell. The convention business loved it because we could play, you know, cool dinner music, a lot of jazz and Yo Beam and stuff, and then fire away with the funk stuff from Stevie Wonder and, you know, and Lionel Richie and had a whole group of singers and songwriters.
Yeah.
And all the other bands in town, there were more big bands than they worked, but they, you know, I really gave them a lot of competition because none of them could do the contemporary tunes.
Yeah.
After dinner, they'd sit down and, you know, all they could do was play something like Watermelon Man as a rock tune, and then they're dead, you know. so
Yeah.
so the agents loved my band because I could. It's predecessor of what's popular now, you know. What do they call them? Cover bands,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
And you get now you get these great big ones with 2 or 3 singers out front and 7 or 8 or 10 musicians. But we did it as in the big band format
Yeah.
before all that started. You know, there was 2 guys sitting down with music stands and lights and all that business. So, but I traveled all over the Southeast with that band. We'd go to Orlando a lot. We'd go down to Miami, over to Birmingham, up into Charlotte and that area. I
Uh-huh.
got quite a reputation for that area.
Yeah.
I averaged about 4 to 6 gigs a month with that band, which is pretty good.
That's really amazing actually, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just happened. And I used singers a lot in the band too.
Yeah.
You know, some of the singers I used could sing both styles of the music, could sing a swing tune and go right into Aretha Franklin, you know.
Smart man.
Yeah.
I have my friend Dan always helps me out with bringing up all music credits for you or for everybody. So there's a whole bunch of stuff here. Let's see. Gosh, I'm sure you can't see this, so I'll have to talk about it. But Jim Brock was one.
Yeah, he was, or he is. I talked to him about 2 months ago. He lives in Charlotte. He was the most recorded new age percussionist of the 70s and 80s. He's on, I don't know how many Windham Hill records and And he's also a producer. He actually produced 2 CDs for me. He's a
Oh,
great engineer, yeah, and a wonderful player. He's one of those guys, again, why everybody should know him. And he almost got that way, but, he was doing the New Age thing. But he was out with, what's her name? Very famous rock and roll singer girl with red hair. I can't think of her name. He was her drummer for years.
like Bonnie Raitt or somebody?
Someone like that. I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
She's still around. He still works with her once in a while.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then Glenn Yarborough,
Yeah, I
Christmas.
did a Christmas album with him
Ah,
way back. That's probably early
1995, it says.
'95.
That's what it says.
No, that's wrong. That's probably a re-release. We did that way back,
Uh,
70, right after I moved there, 72, 73.
oh, okay.
It must have been re-released in '95 or something.
Yeah. There's a number of your records listed here, which I know, like Paris Eyes, Promised Places, Ellington, Elton, Exposed, Love Song. Are those albums or singles?
No, those are all albums. The first couple was on Palo Alto
Oh,
Records,
oh,
and then the whole last bunch, the 4 of them, Love Song and Elton and Ellington, uh, are on Summit. I'm sure you're familiar with Summit.
sure, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. In
Yeah.
fact, we're getting ready to. I feel like I'm an old man, but Darby called me up just before Christmas, and he wants to put together an anthology of all my stuff on vinyl. So I'm really, really excited about that. We're going to pick from each of the CDs, 2 or 3 tunes, wind up with hopefully about 20 tunes on the vinyl.
That's cool.
Release it next Christmas because they got an 8-month wait, 6-month wait
Uh-huh.
for vinyl. But because the vinyl's getting crazy, it's gone up 331% from last year. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah,
Yeah, even in a secondhand store, vinyl is like $30 or something.
I know, I know, I
Yeah,
know.
yeah, it's kind of weird. Here's one that's interesting to me. Did you actually play on the Arturo O'Farrell and Chuchu Valdez?
Yeah, yeah, I did that. I didn't play. I arranged.
Oh,
I didn't play. No, I just arranged one of the tunes. The producer, and they won a Grammy for that album. The producer is an old student of mine from Atlanta, Indian dude, and he was producing the record, and they wanted him to contribute some music if he wanted to. They gave him a track, so he decided he wanted to do this old Indian, like a folk song. I never heard of it before, but it's a very famous. It's like an anthem in India.
oh,
And anyway, long story short, and he's not really an arranger, and I just helped him out with it, and it's a 2 CD, I think, yeah, 2 CD album. I think it's the last tune on the first CD.
cool.
Yeah,
Um, Now I remember you telling me a bit of a story, and I can't remember all the details, and you may not want to go into it, but there's somebody in Europe who you work with who's not in the jazz genre. Who is that? Am I
who's
talk
not in?
who's not in the jazz genre? But somebody like that you work, they flew you out to work with them, and
I'm trying to figure out who that is. I don't remember that.
um, yeah, you were making. It was like, well, when we got together a few years ago. Um,
You're not talking about Flying Lotus.
yeah, I think I am.
Yeah, yeah, not Europe. That was Japan.
Oh, Japan. Okay.
Japan. Yeah, yeah.
Can you tell us about that, or do you want to? Or
No, no, no. I think I got no problem at all. No, he's a dear friend now. He's still studying with me. he's you know who he is, by the way.
no, but start from the beginning for our audience.
Yeah. Well, he's one of the most famous beat makers uh,
Right.
ever. He started making beats when he was 14, and he's turned into this superstar. He travels all over the world,
Okay.
and he's now maybe in his mid 30s, but he's really getting into the jazz thing. He loves jazz. He starts
Oh,
incorporate a lot of it into his music. And he's won all kinds of. We won a Grammy. He was producer of the year last year,
Wow.
and the Grammy thing. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Thundercats album. Yeah.
Oh. Hmm.
So anyway, he's become a friend, and he asked me to come to Japan with him. If this is the right story, I don't know if
This
I'll
is,
never.
yeah, this is the right story, I think.
And to make a long story short, he was just so nice to me. He said, just come and be our guest. He travels with about 7 or 8 people, all these technical guys that will do all the stage stuff. And he said, we'll pay for everything. You just have a good time. So he sold out this 16,000 seat venue right in the middle of Tokyo somewhere. And
It's incredible.
which is it's unbelievable. He could have sold another 30. They told us if there were
Oh my
people around
God.
a venue big enough to do that. So anyway, I was fascinated with all this because I'd never really played or performed in anything like that size before.
Yeah.
So it was so much fun to walk around the stage and see the guys setting all the stuff up. I'm asking questions about the sound, and this cavernous place. The view from the stage is intimidating. And, so anyway, it comes to showtime. There's a green room at the back, which is the size of a medium nightclub. He had 3 bars set up, all kinds of people in there. I went and had 2 or 3 martinis. I was getting ready to see the show, and brought my martini out, and then I was going to sit with the sound guy who was in charge of the mixing monitors, on stage monitors. And I'm sitting there just getting ready to open the doors and let people in, and Lotus comes walking by and looks down at me and hands me his computer, and he says, "Go out and play." Is this the story I told you?
Yes, it is. Definitely.
And I said, "Play what?" He's got this little keyboard. It's got about 30 notes on it. He said, "Just take it out. Don't touch anything. The bottom note's the bass." And his manager actually walked out with me and put the computer. And again, he said, "Don't touch anything because it's all programmed. Just play the keyboard. Don't touch anything else. You'll mess the show up really bad because it really that computer runs the whole show." So anyway, I get up there. I don't know what. I took my martini out. I don't know what I was going to do. The doors open in, and I hit one note, just one note. I forget what it was. The bass note, I think it was at the bottom. I think it was an E. Man, it sounded like a 777 taking off from LAX. It was like I felt like I had all the power in the world. I mean, the loudest drummer in the world couldn't compete with this. It was, I just held it down. It felt like the building was shaking. I mean, it's a goddamn. So I couldn't play any tunes because the keyboard really wasn't big enough to do anything like that. So I just started making up bass lines and screwing around and playing things like just right off the top of my head, all this atonal stuff, and the people were going nuts. I didn't notice it till about 10 minutes into it. I happened to look up and notice standing backstage laughing his brains out, but he was pointing at the audience, and they're out there just screaming and yelling, all these young Japanese girls. Who is this old guy in a business suit? I'm the only one dressed like that. Everybody else is in whatever.
Yeah.
And soon I did about 20 minutes, and I was the warm-up act. They call that the warm-up act.
Oh my God.
No, normally he uses a DJ. And he said, "You did better than the DJ." I would have them dancing. So anyway, it was good because, he does his act. His whole act, he's in most of the time, a skull.
Oh
a
my
great
God.
big skull, yeah, with about 1,000 lights on it, man.
Ah.
And it was hard for me to see beyond that because of the lighting they had. I just kept playing and playing and playing, and I had them rocking, man. I just got into it. Said, "The heck with it. I'm here. Let's just do it." And I take a sip on the martini, and I'll scream and clap. And then when I got done, his manager put his hand up and said, 30 seconds or something. I just finished up, and I just grabbed what was left of my martini and started walking backstage. And the place was like, I'm not bragging, but they were just crazy. I've never heard anything like this before. And everybody backstage laughing, holding their gun, but Lotus is standing there going, "Pow, pow, pow." He's supposed to bow in Japan. So I stopped and I took this bow, and they went, "Rrr." Then I walked about 10 more steps, bow again, and I did it again. That was, I tell you what, of all the great gigs I've had an opportunity to play, that was one of the highlights. Even though it was nothing to do with a 2-5 or a change or it was just hearing this audience reaction, which and the people backstage, you know, because then Lotus came out and and did his thing for 90 minutes. It was a 90-minute show.
Wow, that just is that's so cool. And did he start by being a student of yours?
No, 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 no. He's 34, 35 years old.
Yeah.
But he was already he was famous as hell when he
Mm.
came to see me. In fact, I always tell him the story. I didn't even know who he was. He just came in and he started lessons with me. Very nice guy, and his real name is Steven. And he never said a word about who he was. And it was maybe 6 weeks, something like that. He was coming 2 times a week, like I used to do with Harry Smith. And he came in one day, and oh no, I know what it was. I said to myself one day, this guy, there's something about him, this was different. The way he was absorbing the material, the kinds of questions he asked were a little bit more advanced than most people. So I just took his real name and I put it into the Google, and holy God, man, all this stuff comes up. A superstar, and I grew, So anyway, I didn't want to. Next time he came in, say, "Oh, I know who you are now." I didn't want to do anything like that. But if he wanted to tell me, he could have told me. If he's keeping it a secret, I'll
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So his nickname, he's known by Flylo. That's what all his fans call him. They call him Flylo.
Yeah.
And so we're sitting there, and he's playing something on the keyboard. And he tried 2 or 3 times, and I said, no, Flylo, it goes like this. And he just looked up at me and just started roaring, laughing. It was a good way to let him know I know who he was.
Can we play one of your? Let's see. How am I going to play you? Because what I would like to do is play something that I have. I have you in your subscribing list. There's an introduction. There's Spain. Should we play Spain?
Yeah, but it's not a jazz thing. It's a dance tune. Put it on.
Yeah.
You'll think you're talking to the wrong guy.
Yeah, well, I think this shows your versatility.
Adore you.
I wish people could see the video. I love that. Great. It's a great
How about
version.
that?
I love it.
That's what I call JDM,
Jazz.
dance music.
Cool.
Some reason didn't catch on with the DJs.
I think it's great, though. I love it.
I got about 25 of those done.
Really?
Yeah,
25?
that's what I did during the pandemic.
What
I sat here
other
and
what other
wrote.
songs did you do?
I did. Let me think of them all now. "Coming Home, Baby." Remember the Herbie Mann thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Then I did. Boy, they fade in your memory. "Watermelon Man." Herbie's "Watermelon Man."
Yeah.
Um, God, why can't I think of them? I did so many of them.
I can
uh,
go look.
I don't know if they're listed there. They'd be in my computer. All of them.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, yeah. I did about 20, 25 of them. I didn't produce them all. I got about maybe eight of them done. And then I started doing some smooth jazz stuff too. That's what I did.
Are they pretty popular? Are people listening to them? Are they buying them or
I haven't put them out.
oh,
I didn't do anything with them yet. No. What I did is like I got the DJ said to me, the radio promoters, two of them that I used said to me they loved it. They said, but it's ahead of its time. The DJs aren't going to play it. It's too dancey to be a smooth jazz cut, and it's too, you know, non-swinging to be on the jazz radio. No one's going to play it. So I stopped doing them for a while because I thought it was a great idea. Maybe it'll come back. Maybe one day it'll be a place to do it. And I switched to some smooth jazz stuff, which I'm still going to try to do 2 or 3 releases a year with that. So that's where the Sailing came from. It's on the same page. I
yeah.
think where you are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then there's one original called. Is that on there too? I think it's on there. Yeah, Simply Smooth.
Oh,
Yeah. Now
okay.
they're with acoustic piano and bass and drums, and they're more. But then again, I did 2 releases last year with them, and I made the charts, but nowhere near the top 10. But I did get a lot of airplay and got some checks from that. What's that famous airplay? Not the one I mean, the big one, the huge one, Sirius Radio.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what category did they put it in?
They put it in smooth jazz.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So for being nobody and no name in smooth jazz, they told me I did pretty well because they do, I forget how many hundreds and hundreds of CDs, smooth jazz CDs are released every month. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
People make them in their basement, and just turn them out and make an MP3 and send it off and see what happens. So
Yeah.
the last one I did came out, I think, last July, I think it was, the Sailing one. And I sold quite a few of those, actually. I think I sold a few hundred of those
Oh,
off my website that downloads, for 99 cents. That's not bad. But
Not bad at all. We'll listen to that too. Um, and do you, as I remember, did you do all did you do all the instruments or
yeah, I did everything. Of course, on the smooth jazz, I didn't play the drums or the bass,
okay.
but the one you just heard, I thought I did all sitting right here in this chair, where I am right now, right here on this computer, you know, in the computer.
Yeah.
When I did the smooth jazz stuff, because the smooth jazz DJs hate drum machines and loops and stuff, um, I used a live bass playing drummer. So I did the tracks here, the MIDI
Yeah.
tracks,
Yeah.
sent them to my guy in Atlanta who has a studio that produces this kind of music. And I didn't really know anybody here, just, you know. So I just sent him off to Trammell, and he has the drummer come over and play along after consulting with me on the phone, you know.
Uh-huh.
And then the drummer just downloads his track, and he did it in his studio in his house. And then it goes to Vegas, and the bass player, good friend of mine, laid down the electric bass parts. Then it goes back to Trammell, and he mixes it all.
Cool. That's
So it's
great.
all done virtually. You know?
That's 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 the time, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I like it, to be honest with you. I think it's great.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's great too. I
I mean,
mean, playing live is playing live. It's never going to go away. It's never going to lose favor. But this is kind of basically a whole different thing.
yeah, yeah. And it's and the results, you know, at least for this kind of music, playing jazz solos on top of something like this is still not quite the same as, you know. But see, this isn't that. This is you're relating to the music in a whole different way. You know, the drummer's not worried about the lines that the trumpet player is playing. You know, he's just sitting there filling in the places where the drums need to be heard.
Yeah.
But when you're playing live, you know, then a whole dynamic starts. People get in the mood and they start to play. Maybe it's not what you want. You go crazy in the studio, walking back and forth, asking the drummer to do this and the bass player to do that. When you leave them by themselves, lay the bass part down, send it to me. You know, here's 3 versions, Ted, boom. No
Yeah.
scenes. No scenes. Just tell them, can you fix this note? Do that. This one's out of tune. Great. Next.
Now, my friend Dan wants me to play your Elton. Sorry seems to be the hardest word. I might do that. And you have to move your head into the frame
Oh,
again. Sorry. But I'm going to play that. This is you, right?
yep. Birdie,
Oh, very pretty.
do you know who's playing with me?
No.
John Patitucci and Joe LaBarber.
Oh, that's nice.
That's a nice, huh? It's not doing too bad.
Not too bad.
No, I call them the Italian Stallions.
That's funny.
I did a whole CD about the John tunes.
Very nice. That's beautiful. Somebody commented that it's so plaintive, and if you know the lyrics, the version fits it so good. And I went to look at the lyrics. Not a lot of lyrics, but still, the lyrics are basically very sad, right?
Right, right,
Yeah,
right. We kept it in that mood, you know.
yeah.
Yeah,
It was beautiful.
thank you. Yeah, those guys are wonderful, man. They came in and we allowed 2.5 days of recording. I remember I picked up Joe at the airport. This is when I lived in Atlanta,
Yeah,
and John was already in, and we were meeting at the studio to set up and do a sound check at around 7 o'clock, something like that, in the evening. Then I was going to take him out to dinner, and then we start recording the next day. So, you know, John and Joe had never played together before, so they were both of them so interesting to look at them. You could tell they're both just a little bit nervous, you know. I mean, two such giants. but I just couldn't jump in and wait to play with them. But anyway, they got all set up, and we got the drums going, and did all the drum banging, and set up, and John got his bass down. It was about 8 or 8:30, so I get up. Everybody's done. It's okay. Let's go eat. And John says, "No, let's lay a tune down, man. I love this stuff." And I said, "Well, it's almost let's go eat." No, come on. How about you, Joe? Yeah, sure. We did 3 tunes in less than an hour.
Wow.
Then went to dinner. I mean, I couldn't believe it. They had the music beforehand, but
Yeah.
still, they just played the living hell out of it. And then we finished it up the next day, and they went home a day early. You know?
I'm going to have to
They were
listen
all like
to the
one or
whole
two-
thing.
Yeah, you got to listen to the whole thing. It's interesting take. It started doing well on the charts, but because I, in my great wisdom, I thought it was so interesting, I called the CD Elton Exposed, revealing the jazz soul of Elton John.
Yeah.
And boy, the jazz police just massacred me.
Really?
Just,
For
yeah,
the title, or what? Could you get into the frame, please?
Oh, sorry. I think my pen keeps slipping down.
Sorry.
The problem is this thing isn't in real time. It's delayed.
I know you're looking at me delayed, yeah, but you should be able to see you in your camera, in your own phone.
Yeah, I do, but there it is.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not going to move.
Okay. So why did they dislike it? Because of the title or what?
Yeah, because I used Elton and jazz in the same sentence. We're not going to play Elton John's music on this jazz station. I heard this all back from the radio promoter. He was getting, emails and texts and calls even. They didn't play it. It just died on me. If I put that thing on and played one cut from it, chances are none of the DJs would know the darn tune anyway and say, "Wow, who's that? Sounds great."
Yeah.
John Parker. Yeah, great. So one thing we're not going to do on it when we re-release it, so to speak, when we do the 20th anniversary of recording it on the vinyl, I'm going to use another title. We're not going to use the same title.
What title are you going to use?
I don't know. It might just be Elton. Period.
Yeah.
It's not Elton as much as it was the word jazz associated with it. I don't know what's with people. It's so weird.
I know, man.
It's like, but this was 20 years ago. This was before 9/11. I did this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 9/11 happened 2-3 months later, and then we had to hang the release up for another year. Darby didn't want to put it out, so we put it away for a year. So it had a tough start. So I think it's a really, really nice CD. It's the nicest one I've done.
Sounds great. And is it for sale on regular channels?
Yeah, anywhere you can get through Summit. You can get it on my website. I got a store on my website. You can download the tracks individually, actually, if you want. And it's on every other venue you can imagine, Apple Music, whatever. Whoever sells stuff, it's there.
Yeah, yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's funny when I asked John, I was doing a gig with John at the University of Georgia about a year before I made this, maybe 6 months before.
Yeah.
And it's just a duo gig, just him and I. I got a lot of music of that in my computer.
Uh-huh.
We just played. He just called tunes and we just played. And it was wonderful. We had a great time. And I was going to bring a friend of mine up from New Orleans to play bass. And then after I played with John, I said, I'm going to do this Elton thing with John. So we're singing it. And I leaned over to ask him. I was going to ask him if he'd like to do a CD with me. And he said, "Oh, man, sure. You play great. I'd love to. What are you going to do, man? Original stuff?" And I said, "No, I'm going to do tribute to Elton John." And he had a fork of spaghetti in his hand. I'll never forget this. He just looks at me, and he just stopped. And the spaghetti's midair and with the fork, and he didn't say a word. And I said, "Oh, shit, he doesn't want to play Elton music." He said, "Hey, you're going to do Elton? I love Elton. God, I played all those tunes through college, man. Yeah, let's do it." So few months later, he came down and we did it.
Well, I have to go see what's on here because on that record because I love Elton John too. So if I put in Elton Exposed, uh, that's Elton Exposed, right? That's what it was
Yeah,
called. Yeah. So Philadelphia Freedom. Wow. All the Girls Love Alice. Blue Eyes. Benny and the Jets.
yeah.
Border Song. That was one of my favorites. Circle of Life. Um, Ego. Your Song. Carla Etude.
There's
Wow.
there's some obscure ones on there, but that Carla Etude, man, that thing you wrote for, no one knows what that was all about. Whether it was a love song for somebody I don't know. I have no idea, but he plays it almost every. It's an instrumental, not a. It's the only instrumental he does.
Yeah.
They say he plays it almost every show, but it's not like I arranged it. I turned it around and did a whole new number on it. Very classically oriented.
Oh,
There's no solo in it or anything. It's just all written out.
yeah.
And it's in his repertoire. He plays it like Elton, but with the Elton solo piano feel, that kind of rockabilly thing he does.
Yeah.
And I just did something very different with it. But melodically, it's so beautiful. Oh God,
Wow.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece of writing. Yep.
I can't wait to hear this whole thing. I have to say, Benny and the Jets. Is
You
this it?
remember the old Nat King Cole trio?
Yeah.
Okay, this is what this was. This was the kind of sound I used for this tune because it's such a tongue-in-cheek, you know, song and such an interesting tune. I decided to do something from the point of chance.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I just decided to do something much lighter than everything else on the CD. This is kind of like just a take a breath. It's like fun to listen to. It's enjoyable. It's just fun and it's funny in places.
Okay. I'm just going to listen. I'm just curious a little bit on a lot of them, actually. So, but. Wow. Wow. Oh, it stopped. That sounds really cool. Okay, just one more peek at something. If my connection is going to last. Come on, baby. I'm going to have to start all over again today. I'm going to have to take out all my Restream and Zoom. I wanted
Yeah,
to.
get that. You do this once a week?
No, I do it Monday through Wednesday live.
Oh wow! So you got to get that thing working for tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. It's really. the border song. Oh. Well, I'm not going to give it all away, but I wanted to check it out. Actually, my friend Roland bought it already on iTunes.
Oh, thank you, Roland.
Yeah, that's.
I've had to switch positions because my cell phone ran out of juice.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm wondering how long my iPad will last. We won't go too much longer. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry about today, and I'm sorry, Ted, that I had to put you on this, you know,
Well, you
old
didn't pay the bill on
fashioned.
time.
What?
You didn't pay the bill on time.
Yeah, maybe I didn't. I'm gonna have to like go start from the bottom again, and
Mhm.
if yeah, so I'll probably be working on that today, I'm sure. Um, yeah, tomorrow actually my guest had to postpone, so I was inviting the people who normally come on, to see what's happening, and so I'm going to be inviting them on just for fun, and it'll be fun. We can talk, we can play some music. I can hear opinions, actually from their mouth as opposed to written on Facebook.
That's nice. Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah. Wednesday, I'm having a singer from San Francisco, Nicholas Beard, who is really a beautiful, beautiful guy, beautiful singer, great
Great, great.
teacher. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's really a beautiful. I love that Elton John record that you did. Sounds
Yeah, thank you.
really beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's one of my best, endeavors. It was a good idea. That's why we're hoping it'll enjoy itself a little more success on its 20th anniversary in vinyl.
In
So
vinyl, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the coming thing, man. Just people thought that was going to go away. It's just amazing the demand for it. Young people too. It's not old people trying to relive the past. It's some of that too. It's totally young people that are into this.
But
They love it.
what's weird? By the way, you've totally disappeared.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Um, what's weird is that, like, my husband has thousands of albums, and he
Mhm.
he actually works on selling some of them too. And people are not buying them so much off of eBay or anything. So I hear that people are into records, but I just wonder whose records they're buying. Are they buying the more modern people? Are they buying the old wonderful stuff? Or I'm not sure what's happening regarding.
Yeah, I don't have a pretend to have any numbers on it though, but it's fueled by young people's interest in the old technology. They like the way the music sounds better than the digital.
Well, that's for sure.
It's not as harsh for their ears, they say, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, a lot of it is driven by the style of music. You know, all the old classic rock stuff selling like crazy. And the companies are re-releasing them over and over again. You know, new covers, new whatever, whatever. I don't know about the used CDs. I mean, the used vinyl. I'm sure it's as popular, but it's the new stuff that's selling more than that. I know that for a fact because of the way you can't keep. You got to wait 6 months to get something pressed. The plants to make the damn things, just aren't equipped to do that many. Where you would think that going to a record store, like there's a place in the Sherman Oaks right up the street, man. The cat must have 500,000 LPs in there, and he said he sells a lot of them. Tons of them. I brought a whole bunch over to sell it to him. I get $5, $6, $7 for some stuff didn't need anymore. But I don't know. You could read about it. There's all kinds of stuff on the net. I got that figure of 330 something percent up from last year.
Yeah.
Sales. And my gut tells me it's a combination of lots of things, but more new product than old product. Like that lady here that's been so successful. You must have had her on your show. The blonde lady. What's her name? That made 2 or 3. She went a step further and did them all in like super audiophile fashion.
Is she a jazz singer or what?
Yeah. She lives in the Nixon's hometown, wherever it is down south, going south, where Nixon was brought up. Whatever the name of that town is on the ocean. She's been very successful, but she went one step further and she does them, audiophile quality, where they sell for like $60, $70.
Yeah.
And she goes to all these audiophile shows. She posts on the net all the time, telling everybody what she's doing. And she's used the best musicians in the city, like you do, over at Capitol Records. And she's financed it all herself. She's done about 3 or 4 of them, and she's selling them like crazy.
I am not sure who that is.
Excuse me?
I'm not sure who that is.
Lynn Stanley. That's who it is.
Oh, yeah. She's an interesting person. She was a student of mine for a minute, and she was a dancer. She started out being a dancer.
Right.
And she could sing, and so she decided to. She's a very smart person, very, very forward moving. Yeah, interesting career that she has developed.
Yeah, she's doing very well with that stuff.
Yeah,
She wanted me to play for her a couple times. I just couldn't do it.
yeah.
I think I had some conflicts, and I just couldn't do it. And I wish I had. I wish it hadn't happened that way. But I think I was doing something for Cheryl Benteen, as I recall.
Uh-huh.
And it didn't. And I just couldn't do it. But Joe was on that. I wanted to play with Joe and Chuck Berghofer. That would have been fun.
Yeah,
But
that
she
would have
did.
been great.
I think she's done 3. And when she first came to me, she was going to take some piano lessons. But we wound up talking out in my living room where you were, and she kind of used me more as a consultant. She didn't know hardly anything about the recording business,
Yeah.
at the beginning. And she just, we just talked and pumped me questions, took me out to lunch one day, which was fun. And she did that with me. She did it with the famous engineer that just passed away over at Capitol. Who I mean?
Yeah,
Very, very famous guy.
yeah.
And Bernie something. He's does all the mastering for all the big stars.
Bernie, you mean Chicks Bernie?
No. Bernie, he owns the.
Oh, Bernie Grundman.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So she went to all the right people, and before she started doing it, and they're the ones that got her into the idea of doing the LPs, audiophile, because the audiophile world needs more music. There's not enough of it being produced for people who have these $30,000-$40,000 stereo systems in their homes.
And the style of music, as I remember the last time I heard it, it's big band. Is that right? Was she doing
Yeah.
big band?
I don't think she ever did a whole big band. It's mostly trios with horns. She might have done one. I don't know. I don't think so. But it's mostly all standards, very familiar standards. She's used everybody from Bill Cunliffe and uh,
Yeah.
it's just a bunch of piano players. Good. She got her conductor. She did hire a conductor. The guy used to play for. I think he's been on your thing. Uh, so you get old, you forget names. Rod was not Rod Stewart. The funny blonde-haired guy that passed away last year, 2 years ago. James Bowie. What's his name?
David Bowie.
Yeah, David Bowie. Yeah, he was his piano player for years. So he's her musical director. He hires all the musicians for her and et cetera, because he's so connected with
I
everybody.
know who you mean, the piano player, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him for many years. I forget his name. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just, Some and I are going to do this together like a joint venture and see what happens. Lotus thinks it's a great idea. He's really into, he has his own label also called Brain Feeder. And Thundercat's new vinyl came out, I think 2 months ago now. It's been 2 months. And it's his 10th anniversary of his first record with the company. Sold thousands of them the first day online at $60 a piece. Now I'm not Thundercat, but the point is, there are no jazz guys doing this, because it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's going to cost you $15 to $18 per unit just to manufacture these things.
Yeah, that's expensive.
Then you've got shipping. You don't have all that with digital. Just nothing. Press a button and download it. So
I do know one real jazz singer, Sina E. She produced a number of LPs and sold a lot, like several thousand, which to me was amazing.
Sure.
Yeah. So she keeps doing it, but got also schlepping them around from gig to gig, especially if you're
Yeah.
traveling internationally, it's a lot.
I know, but it's working for people.
Yeah.
And it's all these young people that Lotus, they're the ones that are buying this stuff.
Well, I also heard, I'm not sure if it was Billie Eilish, but I heard, a singer, it was either her or a singer like her, um, did they did a concert, a special concert, and they only had records. They had no CDs, no downloads.
Right.
So you could buy a record, and she sold all the records that she had, which was a lot. And after that, then she went into CDs.
That was smart. So she built up her rep with the vinyl.
Yeah.
Yeah. But CDs, they're on their way out. They're almost finished. CDs.
But I don't think records are going to take their place. It's going to just be digital or something, right?
No, I don't think they're out to take its place. It's just a void that has it. It's like the basic principle of business. Find a need and fill it. People want this. They're
Yeah.
loving it. They're
Yeah.
loving buying turntables. The turntable companies can't keep up with the orders. So I don't think it's a fad. I think if it keeps on going, every genre gets represented by these different labels that now have vinyl besides CDs, or they download it. It's just another way to sell a product. But the margin's so good, though. If you can get one produced, even say for $20, got the best. Went down and did it wherever. It costs you $20 a piece. When you're done, you can sell them for $60. I mean, it's doubling, tripling your money.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get your original thing back and you make $60. You sell 1,000, that's $60,000. Versus working a few cents on a CD.
It
So I
didn't
don't know.
used to be that way with the CDs. Used to be, the money was good. By the way, it was Mike Garson. Thanks, Dan.
Mike Garson, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great player. She used all the best guys around to make those. I think she's done 3.
Yeah.
No. So, and then I heard recently her son passed away. That's why she's been quiet. I haven't seen much of her on the internet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's
So,
too bad.
but she was over here, well, I think once or twice. A nice lady, but she is driven. I could spot it in a minute. She's
Majorly driven. Yeah.
literally driven, which
Yeah.
is good. In this town, it needs to be that way.
Yeah. What have you been doing lately?
Lately,
Yeah.
I've been working on an arrangement for Bernie Dressel's big band.
Oh, fun.
So I love that band, so I'm gonna contribute to the library. And I'm really working a lot with Darby over at Summit, doing a lot of phone calling, business research, marketing ideas for this kind of music, because he's got a warehouse filled with stuff he can do. He's got lots of great old stuff in there. He bought this label, the LA label that the guy had for years here, that he recorded every major LA musician. You must know who that is. I just don't know his name. And we went out of business, but he recorded about 150, maybe 200 albums, all audiophile quality. And Darby owns them all. Mama Records, M-A-M-A.
Oh,
Mama,
sure.
yeah. Darby owns that now, so
Oh,
he can get that stuff back out. All these great LA guys, playing, excuse me, and with the high fidelity thing, the stereo thing,
yeah,
perfect. That was all done on tape, the old days.
yeah,
Perfect for what Darby wants to do. And he's already got all that. He owns all those records himself,
yeah.
plus all the thousands of others he's put out in the last 20 years. So he's just trying to generate some cash and keep the company going. He's got over 1 million CDs in his warehouse. It's still like a regular old company, man. You got a forklift and everything, boxes of CDs up to the ceiling over in Phoenix. So I like his attitude about it. He really, he really thinks he can do something with it.
Yeah,
So,
interesting.
yeah. So I've been working on that with him,
Yeah,
and uh, and then just generally, I'm writing a book too. I'm working on my book, my teaching. I do so much teaching. I decided to write a book. So I'm about halfway through the book. So I'm
cool.
just kind of taking it easy. I'm just not sweating it. I kind of like being semi-retired. I'm not really that active. I have a lot of time during the day to do things like this and do my writing, and whether it's the book or whether it's a chart for somebody. And that's what happens when you get older. You do some things that you wish you'd done earlier,
Yeah.
so you
I
have no regrets.
Too bad I can't come over and sing with you again. That was
Well,
fun.
we'll do it again one day.
Maybe we can do something online like a pretty ballad, and you can
Yeah,
take it way out just the way I like it, and then I can I can fool around.
you can find your way back.
Yeah. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Last time you were here, I was having some trouble with my eyes, and now I know what's wrong. I got cataracts, and
Oh,
they're just about ready to take out. But I'm just driving me freaking crazy, man. Reading, trying. I was reading your charts, and it's just everything's cleared, and all of a sudden, bungo, you get down the next line, and there's a bunch of notes, and they're all, it's horrible.
no.
So, I've had to be careful with my driving at night, too. So, but I'm having all this dental work done now, and it's eating up a lot of money and a lot of time.
Yeah.
So as soon as that gets done, I'm going to do the cataracts so I can read a little better, because I can't stand more than 15, 20 minutes at the piano or the computer, and then I have to get up and walk around for a minute and stay out of the light. It gets blurry and you can't see anything anymore.
Oh,
And
wow.
I got the finale blowing up to like number 90. We're recording off. It's like a baseball,
Oh God. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to be that person who keeps saying, oh, getting old is, blah blah blah. I don't want to be that person. So
Yeah.
I say things like interesting. Because it is.
Yeah.
Uh, well, thanks, Ted, for being on. I'm so sorry that I had all these technical difficulties.
That's
Um,
okay. We had a good time. Maybe you
yeah,
listened did too, I hope.
it was
You know,
nice. It was nice to see you again and talk with you, and also to hear what's been going on, and yeah, just I can't wait to hear the rest of the album, that Elton John record.
oh, thank you. Yeah. You'll enjoy it. In fact, the last thing I'll say about it is when it came out, I got a call from, I forget who the hell it was. Someone, I can't, doesn't matter. And they said, I'm looking at the official Elton John fan website. He said, your CD's up there on the front goddamn, oh, excuse me, I can't do it.
You can
Up
do
the
it.
front, up on the front page, and it says, he says, you got to hear this, folks. He says, you can still hear the melodies. See, a lot of people have done stuff to people's tunes, and remember when they started playing Beatles tunes, the jazz guys from New York, and you didn't know what tune it was. That was supposed to be hip. Oh,
Yeah.
that was rainy day. Excuse me, that was yesterday's. You couldn't even hear that. That thing stayed on that website for almost 2 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So Elton's people liked it. There were all kinds of comments coming in. I'd go on the site every, a couple of months and read some of the comments people would write, and then sales picked up a little bit. Darby said during that period, people ordering it. So, and then Elton finally heard it and really liked it, but he wouldn't give me a little blurb about that. Son of a, he just. But he liked it. One of my dear friends is his producer in Atlanta. Where Elton does all the recording, and Matt's also a recording engineer. He did the Elton thing, and he did the Ellington one for me. And he's now big shot in Naris. He's won 2 Grammys. He was a kid. I used to teach him when he was in high school. Damn guys like famous,
Right.
But what did I bring him up for?
Well, you were saying that yeah.
So he's after we finished the album, the whole idea was Matt said, well, we're going to play this for Elton. That's it'd be great. All I need is a little blurb,
Yeah.
So he carried it around in his briefcase when they were in London, when they were, wherever they were. He always had a couple copies of the CD in his briefcase. He said, so one night, this is like a year now after the CD came out, they're in the studio in Atlanta working on the Lion King music. And they were having a rough time, so they took a break, and Elton ordered a bunch of Indian food in to the studio, and they decided to stop with the music, and Matt says, perfect time. I got 5 or 6 people in here with Elton, and so someone said maybe we should put some music on, and Matt said, "You guys like jazz?" And all the guys said, "Sure, man, put some jazz on." So we put the Elton album on. He said immediately the band started breaking up. They were loving it, And Elton was, "What's that, Mike?" I mean, Matt can really imitate Elton beautifully. and it was Ego. Ego is probably the least well-known tune of Elton's. It's one of the first ones he ever wrote before he was really a star.
Wow. Yeah.
But it's a great freaking tune, a wonderful tune. And the band's, he said, Matt's laughing. He said, the band's just laughing like crazy in the corner at the way you're playing it. And they got to the end, and Elton still didn't know what it was. And then one of them said, it was Ego. And he said, oh. So anyway. So what happened was, he asked him he said, my friend and I just did this, we could stand maybe a little, I love. We don't hate you.
It's okay, Elton.
It's all right. It's all right. Yeah.
All right, Ted. Well, thank you again.
Okay, thank you. We'll do it again sometime.
Yeah, yes, we will do it again sometime. And, especially when my technology is working.
Yeah. You'll get it. You'll get it fixed.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you, and I'll talk to you soon, I hope.
Okay, me too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Let's see. Am I actually over? That's what I would like to know. For some reason, I don't think I'm over. Let's see. I don't know. I don't think I'm over. It's just so next. And tomorrow should be you guys and me. So show up and I'll give you the Zoom link. And then Wednesday, Nicholas Beard. So thanks again to my fun guest, Ted Howe. Bye bye.